Get me that signal. We need more power.
Welcome to another Voice of E board game review. I'm your host, Ricky Riverboat Mason. Y'all might recognize me. How about that? No? Uh-huh. That's what I'm talking about. Today, I'm looking at Revolver from Stronghold Games. Revolver is a two-player card... Oh, no. Revolver is a two-player card game designed by Mark Chapman. The game takes place in the Old West. It's lawman versus outlaw, and it's anybody's game. Let's see what the box says. The year's 1892. The bank at Repentant Springs has been robbed. Many good citizens, including Sheriff Anton Dreyfus and schoolmarm Sue Daggett, were brutally slain as the gang shot its way, whooping and a-hollering, hee-haw, out of town. Colonel Ned McReady and his men are tasked with bringing Jack Colty, a man so mean he'd steal a fry from a blind spider or a coin off a dead man's eyes, and the Colty gang to justice. Revolver is a non-collectible card game set in the Old West. One player takes the role of Colonel Ned McReady and his lawmen, and his opponent assumes control of the notorious and deadly Colty gang. Led by the infamous Jack Colty. Each player has his own deck with different cards and abilities. Both players have different goals to win the game. The Colonel wishes to take down the bandits, and Jack will try to escape over the Mexican border or stay alive during the final battle on the train. Well, that's what the box is. Let's take a look inside the box.
Here's the game all set up and ready to go. Now, let me just first point out that it comes in a nice little tin, which you will either love or you'll hate. You'll hate because it's difficult to store nicely because it's rounded, but you'll love it because it's pretty solid and you won't be getting your game pieces squished. Well, they might get rusty someday. The other thing is the rules. Here's the rules. Not bad. The bad part about the rules is the font is 0.00001, so it's a bit difficult for us old guys to read. But hey, they threw in some nice biographies of the bad guys, a few of the good guys, Repentant Springs, and Rattlesnake Creek. So a lot of theme going in there. I think that was a nice little touch. There's the overview of all the icons on the back. Comes in handy, but you'll know them after playing it, twice maybe? Here's your layout. These up here are called your battlefield cards. And this basically determines the length of the game. Each card has a certain number of spaces that are numbered. And this little token is going to move from space to space. And as you leave one card, you'll go to a different location. So you start at Repentant Springs Bank. Then you move on to Whiskey Canyon, Buzzard Point, Rattlesnake Creek, and finally the 315 Express from Rattlesnake Station. Now we've also got two other cards here that are laid out. This is the Derail the Train card, which I'll mention later. And this is the Mexican border card with these giant cubes on it. If at any time all the cubes are off the Mexican border card, the Outlaws win the game. The Colty gang wins. Whee! However, and this is the Colty gang, they're all laid out here. You notice, hey, that guy looks familiar. He's got a worth of 0 all the way up to Jack Colty, who's got a worth of 5. And he's the last one who would die. Notice it says, if killed, you lose. That's the basic setup of the game. Let's take a look. There's also these two decks of cards. Oh, I should point out here. The bad guys cards say wanted, dead, or alive on the back. Otherwise, they're identical in appearance to the McReady players' cards. Now, the McCready player's got a sheriff badge at the bottom. See? How can you ever mix those two up? Alright, now to actually play the game, each player starts with 5 cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I always start the turn marker here, right next to the 1. And then when the Colty player, who gets to go first all the time, picks up his hand and starts his turn, he moves it to the 1. Boop. Then he gets to draw 2 cards. And he starts playing cards. Now he's allowed to play 3 cards at each of these locations, but only the current one that you're at. And his goal is to build up enough black chips in attack power to hold off the McCready bunch. But the Colty player is limited to 3 cards at that spot. You can play as many as you want. So I'm going to play my Peacemaker Special, which gives me 2. And you know, now also each of these location cards has a number here at the bottom, which is the bonus to the Colty player for being there. Now, Repentant Springs Bank gets 0 bonus. Well, Whiskey Canyon gets +3. There's some interesting strategies that can go on there. And he's going to put out another Peacemaker that gives him 4. And let's see. Well, I could kill 2 lawmen, but there's no lawman out yet. I can kill another one. There's none of those out. Should I save the spot? Nah, I'm going to go ahead and put out the Colt. So I got a score of 5 right there, right now. So the McCready player picks up his cards. And he's going to take a look at those. Now you notice he doesn't have any people out on the field yet. The one advantage he has, though, is that he can put as many cards on his side of the battlefield as he wants. He's not limited to just 3. That's his big advantage. So he's going to draw his 2 cards. And look, Josie Deadeye Logan. She's worth 3 off the bat. Is he going to be able to pull off 6? 3, 4, 5. Okay, here's one. We've got you surrounded, Colty. Destroy up to 2 black chip cards, except the hail of bullets and the Gatling gun. Well, he's going to destroy these 2. So that goes over here. Now, one other thing I forgot to mention about these cards, and you can't see them here, but some of them make you discard cards to play them, and there'll be a little discard symbol down here. So the more powerful lawmen and outlaws, you have to discard a certain number of cards in order to play that card out. But in this case, we didn't. So I'm going to play out Josie Deadeye Logan. You may place this card at an upcoming battlefield. If you do, put a True Grit token on this card. True Grit tokens. Here's a True Grit token. Basically, this is a extra life. You put it on a card, and if that card gets killed, you just take the token off, and the card's still around. If it gets killed the second time, well, then it's gone. So we're going to put out Josie, and then we're going to hold there just to kind of see what happens. You know what? We can block 1 row on any battlefield with this card. We're going to block one of the outlaws' spots right there. So now he only has 2 spots he can work in, because I blocked one of his at this location. Now what happens at the end of the Colonel's turn is he gets to attack. So what happens in an attack is you add up the points on this side against the points on this side, and whoever has the most wins. On a tie, it goes to the bad guys, the outlaws. So the McCready player has to have more on his side. So we got 3 versus 1. The McCready player is winning. That means an outlaw's got to die. Poor outlaws. So the way you pick who's going to die is you have to pick the lowest value. 1 card from the lowest value cards. You notice we have multiple cards that say 0. That's a 0. That's a 0. That's a 0. So me, the outlaw player, gets to pick which card is going to be discarded. So out of the 0 players, Mickey's going down. So whoosh, Mickey's dead. There's only 15 outlaws left, and that is the end of turn 1. Next, it goes back to the Colty player. He first moves this to the 2, and then he draws his cards, and the game goes on from there. Now, if during a turn the McReady player isn't able to kill a bandit during his turn, the outlaw player gets to take one of these little cubes off of the Mexican border card. And as the game goes on, if this gets empty, the Colty player wins the game. So he wants to get all those tokens off there. And there's actually a couple of cards that will help him take extra tokens off during his turn. So he can either win by simply surviving all the way to the end, having at least one character survive all the way to the end, or getting all these tokens off of the Mexican border card. And that's how you play Revolver.
Yeah, I'm still wearing it. Is that a problem? One thing that I didn't mention is that on the final card, the 315 Express from Rattlesnake Nation. God darn it, it's Rattlesnake Station. Ha ha ha! The Colty player can make one final attempt to save his bacon by derailing the train. This, in effect, wipes the slate clean and gives the Colty player one more chance to make it to the end of the game alive in an otherwise hopeless situation. Honestly, I wasn't expecting much from the game, but it surprised me. Once you play it a few times, you'll get to the feeling of how balanced it really is, and what an effort it must have been to get the game to get such good balance. For me, the Colty gang seems to win more often than the Lawmen, but usually this is because the Colties seem to pull out just the right card at just the right time. There are distinct strategies for each deck, and as the song goes, you gotta know when to hold them and know when to play them. Okay, so not exactly how the song goes, but you get the point. There's a lot of that back and forth, take that moments going on. You finally get ready to play Colonel McReady's card, and your opponent kills him the very next turn. Or conversely, you finally manage to kill off said colonel, and your opponent gets the one card that'll bring him back on his next turn. The gunfighter theme is excellent and meshes well with the game. It's a plus, but also a minus for me, as I would love to be able to get my wife to play, but she has no interest in the Western theme, and so she doesn't want to play. The great thing is that I think that these mechanics could be rethemed to work with almost any genre. Why not a 13 Ghosts version, where it's the ghosts against the ghost hunters? You need to chase those ghosts out of the haunted mansion before time runs out. But back to the gaming question. Two things I want to mention for those who are going to try Revolver for the first time. First, when you derail the train, you only clear the cards off of the train battlefield card. Not every card in play, which is what the rules seem to indicate. I looked it up, and that comes from the designer Mark Chaplin himself. Secondly, if Manolito gets killed, the card says to remove 2 tokens from the Mexican border card. However, this cannot cause the Colonel McReady player to lose the game. So if there's only 2 cubes on the border card, then you only remove 1. If there's only 1, then you don't remove any. You may lose on a future turn, but it won't be because you killed Manolito. This is a fun game that plays quickly. The box says 45 minutes, but I've got it down to a half an hour now. There are 2 expansions out for Revolver currently, and 3 more are due to be released at Gen Con 2013. If you would like a gunfighter-themed 2-player, in-your-face style game, then Revolver is a game you would enjoy. Thank you for joining me in this review of Revolver from Stronghold Games. Let me know if you found this review helpful by leaving a comment or sending me an email at Elliott_Miller@voiceofe.com, or my Lantis on Board Game Geek. Make sure to subscribe to the Voice of E channel on YouTube, as I'll have plenty of gaming, entertainment, and comic book coverage this year. It should be a lot of fun. Thanks again, and until next time, keep your mind free.
Get me that signal. We need more power.